What if your phone buzzed and a voice you thought was gone said, "Hi, son," but it wasn't a recording? A man hears his phone vibrate and for a second believes his father spoke. Not an old voicemail, a new sentence in the familiar cadence. That quick shock can be tender and disorienting. This is the doorway into grief tech. Tools that make voices, faces, and responses feel present again. We'll start with what that technology actually is and why it matters to families and therapists alike before we talk about the costs. Grief tech is an umbrella for voice cloning, interactive avatars, and chatbots trained on real messages. Some services synthesize new sentences from short audio clips. Others build interview-style videos that answer recorded prompts. Think of it as a digital scrapbook that can speak back. Concrete examples include voice synthesis platforms and life story apps. Each tool behaves differently, and that matters for consent, safety, and emotional impact. So let's unpack the differences next. A son finds a short voice note his father left in the hospital. He uploads it to a voice service and later hears, "Hi son, how are you?" That new sentence becomes a bridge for him. Another widow uses an avatar her husband recorded before he died. She waited months to engage. For both, the tech felt like a tool, not a replacement, but that comfort can lead into slippery territory. What happens then? People turn to these tools for clear reasons: emotional closeness, story continuity, and ritual. Hearing a voice can trigger memories photos cannot. Families use recordings on birthdays or to pass stories to grandchildren. Kids sometimes find short, supervised clips comforting. Many build these projects before death as a deliberate legacy, yet the same closeness that soothes can also tie someone to the past. Up next, the sharp ethical edges to watch. Grief tech sits between love and liability. It can comfort and complicate. The main hazards show up around consent, mental health, and data misuse. Those three axes determine whether a project helps or harms. Therapists, lawyers, and lawmakers are already debating where to draw the lines. We'll start with consent. The ethical center that decides who gets to give permission and what that permission can cover. Consent matters in three moments: before death, after death, and as technology evolves. Did the person explicitly agree to AI uses? If not, who legally decides? Next of kin, an executor, or local law? And what if they consented to a recorded interview, but never to future AI capabilities? Researchers in Cambridge argue for laws protecting the dead from misuse, but until rules catch up, consent needs extra care and clarity. Therapists report both benefits and harms. A voice clip can ground someone in a moment of sorrow, but repeated reliance may delay acceptance and feed prolonged grief disorder. Signs include intense yearning, impaired function, and constant preoccupation. Children are especially vulnerable because their brains are still developing. If a tool replaces real human contact, that's a red flag. Next, we'll dig into how personal data and storage can multiply those risks. A loved one's voice is intimate data. Ask providers where uploads live and whether files are encrypted. Can you delete the voice model permanently? Does the company use your uploads to train general models by default? Scammers already mimic voices for fraud, and regulators like the FTC have warned consumers. Knowing who controls the data can prevent both emotional harm and financial abuse. So let's talk cultural differences before a checklist. Grief practices differ across cultures and faiths. Some rituals center prayer and presence. Others prioritize storytelling or physical artifacts. Attitudes toward digital afterlives vary accordingly. What feels like solace in one family can feel wrong in another. Respect traditions, discuss options with elders, and avoid assuming a single right answer. Up next, a practical checklist to follow before you upload a single audio file. First items on the checklist: confirm explicit consent or legal authority and check for family objections. Decide the intent: comfort, story preservation, or daily conversation, and write it down. Identify the person who will manage access and who will make deletion requests. Consent and clarity up front reduce future conflict. Next, we'll cover emotional safety checks to assess whether this will actually help you heal. Ask yourself why you want to use the tool and what success looks like. Create a self-check. Do I feel lighter afterward? Am I functioning better? Find a therapist to discuss boundaries if grief is fresh. If the answer to those self-checks trends negative, pause and reassess. Emotional safety is a living practice. Up next, the technical questions to ask any grief tech provider. When vetting providers, demand written answers about export, deletion, and training use. Is data encrypted at rest and in transit? Can you opt out of model training? Does the company label synthetic audio with a watermark or provenance metadata? Also, check for two-factor authentication and human support for sensitive requests. These technical guardrails determine whether your archive is portable or a permanent risk. Next, boundaries and a turn-off plan. Set clear limits before you start. Time-box sessions, 15 minutes once a week, for example. Use the voice in rituals, not as a daily substitute. Decide an exit trigger. Worsening sleep, isolation, or obsession. Put the plan in writing and share it with a trusted family member. Having a turn-off plan keeps a grieving person from getting stuck. Next, we'll outline practical ways to use the technology without making it the whole story. Start small. Record a single message or upload one short clip. Avoid open-ended chatbots at first. Keep content neutral and comforting. Pair any session with a grounding activity like a walk or a journal entry. Treat the technology like a small, delicate object. You don't want to hand someone an open door to endless replay. Up next, how to create rituals, not routines, around these tools. Design rituals. Play a recorded message once on birthdays or listen together on anniversaries. Pair the audio with a shared activity, lighting a candle or making a tea. Rituals create meaning and boundaries. Avoid using the voice to fill daily loneliness. If grief spikes, involve a therapist. Next, special considerations when children and teens are involved. Children need preparation and supervision. Explain plainly that the voice is computer-generated, not a ghost. Keep sessions short and predictable. Check in after each use. Ask how it felt and watch for changes in behavior or sleep. Adjust based on their reactions. If a child starts seeking the voice over real friendships, stop and talk to a professional. Next, we'll discuss revisiting consent over time. Consent isn't a one-time checkbox. Revisit permissions periodically, especially as platforms add new features. If someone consented to a recorded interview, don't extend that consent into interactive AI without explicit approval. If there's no recorded consent, proceed cautiously and consult legal counsel. Regularly reevaluating consent protects both memory and dignity. Next, reviewing the turn-off plan on a schedule. Set quarterly reviews to check mental health, family dynamics, and data safety. Put a calendar alert and discuss results with a counselor if needed. It's okay to retire the project when it stops helping. Retiring can be an act of love and closure. Regular reviews keep the tech working for living people. Up next, how to choose a trustworthy grief tech provider. Treat your vendor search like hiring a planner. Look for pre-death enrollment, clear consent capture, simple export and deletion, opt out of training by default, and responsive human support. Check for provenance tools and watermarking. Prefer companies that publish plain language privacy policies. Sensible pricing without manipulative upsells is a good sign. Next, we'll list specific technical features that matter most. Key features to demand: end-to-end encryption, two-factor authentication, one-click deletion of models and backups, exportable archives, and opt-out from training. Look for abuse prevention tools, such as voice classifiers and provenance metadata like tamper-evident signatures. Lastly, verify customer support can escalate sensitive requests quickly. These features protect both data and dignity. Next, real-world scenarios that show when grief tech helps and when it harms. Scenario 1, immediate traumatic loss. Risk is high. Scenario 2, anticipatory grief with consent. Benefit is high. Scenario 3, supporting a child. Moderate benefit with strict supervision. Scenario 4, months later and feeling stuck. Risk of delaying acceptance. Scenario 5, family disagreement. Risk of conflict. Each case requires a tailored approach. The tech can help or harm depending on timing and boundaries. Next, we'll zoom out to policy and law. Laws and norms are shifting. The EU AI Act pushes transparency for synthetic media. Tennessee's Elvis Act and other state rules aim to protect voice and likeness. Researchers call for consent by design and posthumous data rights. Provenance standards like tamper-evident metadata help signal what's real and what's synthetic. Scammers remain a real threat, so build family verification protocols now. Up next, my personal take and practical final advice. I call these AI voices echoes, not ghosts. An echo can be comforting without being the whole thing. Treat voice models like fragile heirlooms, handle with intention, set boundaries, and involve loved ones. Preserve stories, don't monetize memory, and be ready to retire the project when it stops serving life. There is beauty here and real ethical stakes. In the final section, I'll recap concrete questions to ask before you click upload. Quick recap. Ask about explicit consent, data control, deletion, training opt-out, security, abuse prevention, and family agreement. Set usage limits, pair sessions with grounding, involve a therapist, and protect children. Schedule quarterly reviews and keep a written turn-off plan. If you're unsure, start with recorded stories rather than interactive chat. These steps help you use the echo without getting stuck. And now I want to hear your experience. If this helped, please like and subscribe for more practical guides. Share your thoughts or questions in the comments. Have you faced this choice, or would you consider it?